Hi there, welcome to QA Box Let's Test, and you're looking at one of the amazing websites you'll ever come across on the internet. Kidding. The point is, we are going to work on this web page that I've created for this video, and I've already exported that on this GitHub page. So once you download the project from here, you'll get access to this HTML page as well. So in the previous videos, we learned the browser and document commands offered by Cypress. In this video, we are going to learn the web element commands because this is where we spend most of our time while doing the testing. We interact with the web elements. When you do that manually, you see those elements. It's always easy for you to interact with those elements. And remember, we have to follow the AAA pattern, which is arrange, act, and assert. So arrange is you identify that element. Now, how are you going to identify the element in Cypress or in any other automation solution? So either you go for XPath or you go for CSS. So Cypress does not offer support for XPath out of the box. You've got to install a plugin. So when we move on to the plugin part, we'll see how can we enable XPath ability in Cypress. But for now, we are going to work on jQuery selectors. Now, jQuery selectors are pretty much like CSS selectors. So if you know CSS selector, you're pretty much good with jQuery selectors as well. Because there's a limitation of CSS selectors. The limitation is, let's say, you identify this element h1, all right? You can move forward. So with the help of this h1, you can find UL, field set, and so on. But you can't find its parent. So you can't move back. That's a limitation of CSS selector. That is being overcome by jQuery DOM traversing methods. Now, once you identify that element, you are going to write your assertion. There are two ways you're going to write your assertion. One is the first level assertion is at the DOM level. So you identify whether the element is in appropriate state or not. The other is whether that element carries the correct text or not. Right. So for the first one, you're going to use jQuery DOM assertion. Cypress already has that in place. The other one is cy, and again, Cypress has that as well. I've already created videos on my channel on all of these topics. So I recommend you go and watch them out first because we spend most of our time in identifying the web elements. And for people who are new to automation, if they don't find the element, they get demotivated and they stop learning automation testing. When you download this page, you click on these links, they will take you to the video that you have to watch. I'm also going to provide these links in the description of this video. So let's understand this page quickly. So we have this text box. You can enter value in here. This is a date type field. Then you have got these buttons. When you click on this button, an alert would be raised. Now, we have not learned how to handle the alerts into Cypress yet, but for now, just remember that Cypress automatically accepts the alerts for us. So now you click on second, you get button 2 and so on. In here, you can check and uncheck these checkboxes. Then down here, you have these two spam. Now what I've done is again, I've added, let's inspect these. So you could see that I've added the on-click event. Normally you won't see that on the span. You have these click available on the buttons only. All right. But just for demonstration, I have used this on-click event on span also. So you click on this, you get span 1 clicked. Same way you click on span 2, you get span 2 clicked. All right. This is a span and this is a button. So you click on button, you get find me button click. Same way, submit the form. What is going to happen in here? A new entry would be added. So let's click on that and you see a new entry is added. When you click on add again, so you get this value, you click add, get this value, you click search, so you get this value. That's the basic about this web page that I've created for you. All right, now what are the commands offered by Cypress to identify these elements? There are two commands. Number one is cy.get, and there are 4 different variations available for this method. So we are going to work on this first one in most of the cases. There's also one example wherein I'm going to use one of the option, but most of the time we are going to concentrate on that. Now, few things about this command. This command makes use of selectors, number one. Number two, this command can yield more than one element. Now, when you get more than one element, you have to identify your element uniquely. And remember, I mentioned you have got these jQuery DOM traversing methods. So we have a respective method in Cypress, and we are going to use that method. I'll not be able to cover each and every method that I've covered in my jQuery video. So again, please go and watch that out. All right. So the next command is contains. So contains work on the text node. So when you have to identify an element using the text node, you go for this command. This command always yield one element. So in here, you see we have got this example, add again and add. So if I say cy.contains and pass in the text add, all right, it is going to identify the first one. All right. So you can read that DOM element can contain more than the desired text and still match. So therefore, even when I say cy.contain add, so you might expect that you get this, but you're going to get this one. All right. Okay. So let's quickly move on to the coding part. So download the project, install one extension, which is live server in your Visual Studio Code. Go to this file. You'll find this file inside this help folder. Right click on that and click on open with run server. So that is going to start the website for you. Okay, you'll get this. So you're going to grab this link and come here. So in the interest of time, I've already written all the code, but I'm going to explain you each and every line. So when you say cy.visit, that page would be launched. And now, the first and foremost important thing is that we have to understand is the scope. So when we say cy.get and we enter in this, so this is a selector, all right. So what Cypress is going to do is Cypress is going to look out for this element inside the document, the whole document that is being yielded by cy.visit. That's the scope of it. First test case is we have to enter data in here and we have to enter in the date. Now we can uniquely identify these elements based on the element and attribute node. Let's inspect this and you will see name is equal to channel name. So we are going to say input and then attribute name is equal to channel name. So you're going to say, right? So you could see that you can uniquely identify it. Same way, we have name is equal to date for this and we can uniquely identify this as well. So that's the code that I've written in here. All right. And then type is because this is a text box. So the command that we have in Cypress to type inside the text box is type. And this backward slash is used to escape this single quote. Now regarding date, there is an important thing that we have to understand. So if you look at in here, the format that it is suggesting us is dd mm yy. But if we enter data like that, so let me just uncomment this out and for a moment just comment this. Right, let us execute this test case and see what is going to happen. Okay, so we get this error. See, the thing is Cypress wants us to enter data in this particular format. The reason is because different browser supports different date format. So to keep it consistent across the browser, it is asking us to enter data in this specific format, and Cypress will manage that internally. So if we pass data in that format and run this, it will work. So now you see, we type data in this format, but in here, if you could do after, the data is being entered in the proper format, which is dd mm yy. Okay, so now the thing is, as I mentioned, when you say cy.get and you provide in that selector, Cypress is going to identify that element within the document being written by cy.visit. Okay, so when we do cy.get on this page, there are so many buttons available, right? Let me just remove this for a second. And if the command to click on a button is click. Now, if you run this code now, you're going to get an error because on that page, there are 9 button elements. Now click has to be performed on just one element, but we have got 9. So Let's run this. So we get this Cypress error. And the great thing about Cypress is it also tells you how you can deal with the problem. So it says if you want to click on these elements or all of these buttons serially, right, just use this. Multiple is equal to true. And then it is going to click serially on each element. You can see 9 elements are being returned and it is highlighting all of these in here. So let us pass in this value. Let us run this again. And now you could see that it is serially clicking on each of these buttons. Alright, so all 9 buttons are being clicked. And for the alert, this is what you're going to see. So you see that the alert was raised and this was the text that was there in the alert. So we see 9 matched elements. So let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The thing is, this submit, the form is of type input. Let's see that. So you could see the element node is input, but for the others, the element node is button, and we are finding elements based on the element node. Therefore, you see 9. All right. Now, what I want is, I just want to click on the buttons that are in here, right? I don't want to click on the buttons that are present here, all right? Just want to click on these buttons. So I have to limit the scope for Cypress so that it looks out for these buttons only. Now, how to do that? Now it's simple, right? So what are we going to do? We are going to say, hey, so you could see there are 2 sections in here: Cypress get command and Cypress contains command. So let's inspect these. So this is first section, this is second section. So I want to identify the buttons within the first section. So how I'm going to do that? So I'm going to first identify this. So I'm going to say cy.get field set, and for ID we use hash and then get command. So that's what you're seeing in here. Let me just comment this out and uncomment this. So that's the selector field set. For ID we use hashtag, and then you've got this get command. Great. And the command that you have to use now is within. So you are saying that find the buttons within this section, not in the whole document, right? So that's what you achieve with the help of within. And within expects you to provide a callback. So this is going to return that div for you. And inside that, what you're saying is, hey, cy.get, get me all the buttons, and I want to click on all of the buttons, right? So now see how many elements or buttons we are going to find. Earlier we saw 9. Let me just save this and back in here. So you get 5, all right? And you see it has clicked on this, and then you got this alert. On second one, it's being highlighted in here, all right? And then you get this button too, and so on. Great. So this is a very useful command because if you are not able to identify the element uniquely within the whole page, but then if you can restrict and identify that element, go for this command. So cy.get return the collection, and then we clicked on all of the buttons serially, right? But that's not what is going to happen in the real project. So you get the collection back and you have to identify the exact element on which you want to perform the click operation. And there are few methods available like first, equal, and last. So if you want to click on the first element from the collection being returned to you, you're going to use first. If you want to click on the last one, you're going to use last. And this equal to will give you the ability to provide in the index. So remember, jQuery is JavaScript library, and in JavaScript index starts with 0. So when you say in here 0, it is equivalent of first. Okay, and you can also provide in the negative value. When you say -1, it is going to be the same as last. So it starts from the end in that case. Okay, so let us run this and see what is going to happen. So we are not limiting it, so we are going to find buttons on the complete document page. Yeah, so we got 9, and this is the first button. You could see it's being highlighted, right? And when you click on the first button, you get this alert. On the last one, this is the last one. So this thing is being added in here, because when you click on the last button, this is what's being added to the DOM. And same way you have got this -1, which is again you could see the last button being present on the page, and 1 is the second one, right? So it starts with 0 and 1. All right, so then we have got other methods available through which we can traverse the DOM, and in here you see we are going to traverse based on the relationship. So with the help of these methods, what you can do is you can traverse forward, you can traverse back, and you can traverse sideways as well. And some of these methods are children, closest, find, filter, next, next all, and so on. So let us open the page and see what are we going to do in here. So now we are going to work within this section. Okay, so what are we doing? We are first identifying this field get command. So this whole thing, all right. So we are finding this field set. Okay, and then what are we doing? We are finding children. What this children is going to yield is this legend, field set, and this one. All right, just the direct child of the parent. And then we are going to find the last one. So this last is going to yield us this. And then inside that, what we are doing is, so let's expand this. So you have got this legend and field set again. So if you use children again, so it is again going to yield these three, right? But what you want to do is you want to move to this one, all right? So then you are going to use the method find. So find will find all the children, the grandchildren, and so on, right? And this is the syntax to identify the checkboxes. And then since this is going to yield us all these checkboxes, so to check all of these, we have to use the command check and multiple is equal to true. You can also click on that and that too would work, right? Other thing is that we are going to do is now what we are doing is we have identified all the checkboxes through this, right? And now from this checkboxes I'm moving up to the parent, right? So this parent command will yield this field set. Which one? This one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say previous, right? So this is going to yield me the previous sibling, means this one. Okay, this one. And then inside that I'm finding all the buttons. So inside that you see we have all these buttons, and then we are going to find the first button, which means this one. So we'll see button 1 in the command.log, and then we are just clicking on it. Next is we are doing the cy.reload, and because I want to reset these checkboxes, because in here in line number 58 we have checked all those. So when I reload this page, the fresh page would be loaded and all these would be unchecked. Now herein what are we doing? So next command is this one. So we are identifying all that. So we are saying equal is equal to 2, so which means 0 1 2 birds, right? So I'm here, and then I'm finding all the siblings. So siblings will find both the siblings, means the siblings which exist prior to that and siblings which exist after it, right? That's a role of a sibling. And then again we are saying the sibling should be of type checkbox, right? Because in here if you see legend is also a sibling, and we are going to perform this check. You cannot perform the check operation on sibling. That's why in here I have filtered it out to just the checkboxes. So find all the siblings which are just the checkboxes, and I'm just clicking on the check. All right, next again I'm reloading it, so to reset the page. And then you have got cy.get button, so we are going to identify all the buttons. And then what I'm doing in here is with the help of each command. So if you want to perform an operation to each of the element being returned within the collection, then you're going to use the method each, and then you're going to pass element one by one. So what are you going to do? We are just going to perform this hide method, right? It's not something that we are going to do in the testing. This is just for the demonstration purpose. So what I'm saying is whatever operation that you have to perform on each and every element, so you're going to use each. In here what I'm doing is I'm going to hide all the buttons. Remember buttons, right? So there is one button which is of type input is equal to submit, right? So that would still be there on the web page. The useful thing that you could do is, for example, there are certain spans available on the page. So we are going to identify all the span, and then for each of the span, what we are going to do is with the help of this jQuery text method, we are going to fetch the text and log to the console. Now, besides these, there are other methods as well. Please go and watch these out. This is going to help you a lot in Cypress in identifying the web elements and working with them. Okay, so let us run this now. Okay, so everything is being passed. Great. And you could see that the text is being logged and so on. So the next command is cy.contains, and the first thing that we are going to discuss is scope. So if you say cy.contains like this, so it is going to look out for this text node within the whole document page being written by cy.visit. But if you say something like this, so you say cy.get, since you can also chain this command. So if you say, let's say in here form, right? So now it is going to look out for this text inside the form. All right. So that's how you can reduce or limit the scope of this command. All right. Okay. So the first thing in here is we are going to identify an element using this text span1 and span2, and then we are going to click on that. All right. So which means so here is that section. You're going to click on span1 and span2. Right, let's inspect these. So you see in here, this is the text. All right, span1 and span2. So let me run this. Okay, so it's been executed. It's really quick, and you see the alert in here. Span1 clicked and span2 clicked, so it's working. Next one is what you can also do is you can pass in the selector type, right? So what you're saying is, hey, find an element with this text, and the type of that element should be span. So this is the element node and this is the text node. So we are finding element based on the combination of these two. Okay, and the example that I have chosen for this is this. So you have this find me, this is a span, and this is a button. Okay, so on click event is written on both, so but the alert text is different. Find me button clicked, and here you see find me span clicked. Okay, but the text is same. Now if you have to find the span, then how are you going to do that? So you're going to pass in the selector. You have to find the button using this text, so that's how you can filter this out. Okay, now the other thing is, if you know those selectors, if you go and watch my video, you'll come to know that there is one more way. So even you can achieve the same using the cy.get command, and then you could say span, and then you have got this contains function, right? So it's a pseudo, just like a pseudo methods in css selector. So you have to use this colon and contains, and then you're going to provide the text, and then it is only going to click on the span. So let me just comment the other ones out and click on this. So now you see the span one is being clicked, and you see the selector in here. Okay, all right. So that's how we can use the combination of text and selector. Next one is a special case. So and that's the reason why I kept this thing as input type is equal to submit instead of a button. So in input type is equal to submit, we also have this attribute value is equal to submit is equal to form. So for this very case only, right, you can also find the element based on its value. Okay, and it is applicable only for input type is equal to submit. There are other elements as well wherein you have this value tag, but for in those cases it is not going to work. It is only going to work when the input type is equal to submit and it carries this value attribute. Okay, so then you can pass in this. So let me just run this. So you could see it has clicked on this. Okay, and this is the outcome. Okay, all right. The other thing is we can also write regular expression within cy.contains. Now let's understand the case that we are trying to deal with. So in here we have got this add again and add, right? So let's first comment this out. So you see that you write this command cy.contain add, and then you want to click on it. So you expect that because since you are passing only add, so it is going to click on this, right? But that is not the case. So let's run this. and see what is going to happen. So you could see that it has clicked on add again. If I click on this and click after, so you see that add again button is being clicked, right? Not add. That's the problem. So how are you going to then fix this? So you're going to fix that with the help of regular expression. So you have to mention that, hey, I'm looking for this exact text. So give me the element which has got this exact text, right? The way you're going to do is like this. So in here, uh, you define the regular expression between this, right? And this cap symbol is that it should start with A and it should end with D, right? This is the exact text that has to be matched. And now you could see that this is capitalized, means A is in uppercase, but here A is in lowercase. So with the help of this I'm saying that it's case insensitive. Okay, so now this is going to click on the second one. Let me save this, come in here, and now you could see that in contains we pass this, and the second one is being clicked, and the outcome would be regular expression, and this is very important. Okay, so we have covered regular expression. Last one, but it's a very important one as well. So element preference order. Um, Now what is that? So for that, let's open the documentation. Okay, so we have this element preference order. Dot contains defaults to preferring elements higher in the tree when they are input, button, anchor tag, or label tag. So in here you could see we have this span. All right, so when you do cy.contain and then you pass in this keyword search, it is going to return this button because this button has got higher uh, preference order. Okay, you could see the first one is given to input type is equal to submit. This is the button that we use to submit the form. Then you have got a button, so this is an example of button. Same way you have anchor and label, and same way you could see anchor, and you have got this example for anchor again. And for this label again you have this, you identify the element using this text name, but this is going to return this label for you, and makes sense also because let me show you now our page. So in here you have this button, right? So you don't know, you're not seeing span in here. What you're seeing is a button, right? So let me show it to you. In here you see there's a span, and this is basically the text of this button, right? So as a user you're simply going to click on this, right? You're going to click on that button. Hence it makes sense that when somebody searches out for the text which is there inside the span, uh, and based on that, let's say you want to perform an operation, so you say cy.contains and then you say search, right? Provide the text search and you perform the operation immediately, which is click, right? So what is going to happen if you click on span? Nothing, right? But if you click on the button, then something would definitely happen, and therefore they have set this preference internally, right? So let us run this command and see what is going to happen. Okay, so you see that this thing is it has identified this button and it has clicked on this, and if you click on you go after, then this search thing is being added in here. And also let's do one thing, let's go to the inspect section, go to the console, and in here you could see that it has yielded this object, right? Button. It's a long video, but I hope it's worth watching. Thank you so much.